you've been talking about it. You've really discussed it in depth. But it's the thing that really caught my eye though in this, and I know we can't do a deep dive. Other than the Star and Star Plus packages that are going to be available, I think Star Plus is going to be in Latin America, if I recall correctly from the meeting. But Disney Plus now has 86.8 million subscribers. Hulu's been in the game for 12 years. They're just about to, hit. They're projecting they're going to hit the 50 to 65 million subscriber mark by 2024. This is wild.
Interesting. Remember, if you saw their projections, they gave projections for all three: ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. Disney Plus and ESPN Plus both hit on the extremely higher end of their projections, almost going and exceeding those expectations, with close to 90 for a Disney Plus, and also as well close to 12 for ESPN Plus. The one disappointing that didn't meet its window, I think of between 40 to 60 million, was Hulu. So I'm telling you, man, Hulu is, they just got to do something about Hulu. Just incorporate that, do what they're doing with Star, and just make it great for everyone everywhere to go ahead and get all that content, because they're not buying it on its own.
Yeah, no, and they've got to do something with it. But, kind of getting back to the question at hand here, though, Star is going to be awesome, man. And I'm really looking forward to it, showing up domestically. It sounds like this is going to be the perfect marriage of all that ABC and Fox Studios content coming together and being in one spot.
And ESPN, where in certain parts of the world.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, for instance, India going to have cricket, and other places. South America going to have, I think, other things related to that area of the world. It's just a concept that needs to come together for Disney. I think they're trying to go ahead and lean into that. Eventually, I think you will see it here in the US. But again, we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive on all the Marvel series. They showed trailers for a lot of stuff. They did show a lot of stuff to investors. And for those who aren't investors, they only showed some things. So that was kind of a disappointment, but they did tell you in advance that they were going to do that. They did have some special sizzle reels for investors only, but I will say that there was a ton to talk about. All the shows, from Star Wars to Marvel to Pixar original shows, all the movies they talked about, National Geographic with superstars going ahead and doing some things within the realm of National Geographic. We will talk about it all on the Monday show, because Marcus, it was a Disney overload, and I just don't think we're going to be able to do it justice with so much else on today's program.
No, absolutely. We definitely need to move on to the other stuff. We'll cover everything in depth, for the Monday show. But I do want to give this little teaser before we roll on. Hocus Pocus 2 confirmed to be in production.
Yeah, that's true. And Sister Act 3 also as well. Kathy Najimy should be getting a comeback for her. And, of course, Whoopi Goldberg as well with Sister Act 3. So that's something that she is going to be heavily involved in as a producer as well. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff. Of stuff.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen coming back. Marvel, they talked about all the stuff that's coming out, including new series that they mentioned, and also upcoming movies, including Fantastic Four, finally being realized by John Watts, the director of the Spider-Man movies. So, again, there's just so much. We'll just be talking and blabbing Disney throughout the entire episode. But there's more stuff to cover. So we're going to go ahead and do a deep dive. Please tune in to Monday's Pop Culture Cosmos. If you are a Disney fan or into Star Wars, Marvel, Disney stuff at all, Pixar, it's going to be talked about in detail on Monday's episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. But for today, we've got a lot of stuff, including Jeff Dwoskin. He's going to be on the back half of the hour talking about his show, The Jeff Dwoskin Show, and his transition from stand-up to podcasting. He was a great part of Indie Pods United, and I look forward to speaking to him on the back half of the show. Plus, also as well, we're going to be talking about, hey, Marcus, are you going to be on Spider-Man 3 too? Because everyone is seemingly back for Spider-Man 3. Dr. Octopus, Daredevil, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, whole bunch of people, Kirsten Dunst, my gosh, everybody's going to be Gwen, who played
Jamie Foxx,
Jamie Foxx, who played Gwen Stone. La La Land.
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Everybody's heading over to Spider-Man 3, and we'll talk more about that coming up here in a bit. Halo Infinite gave us a release window. And funny how it's going to be during a time that's very reminiscent for Halo fans. So we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit as well. Plus, also, we're going to be talking about the great things that are going on with Apple, because they announced some AirPods Max coming out on the 15th. But is it just a bit too expensive? I'm going to pose a big question to Marcus coming up later on in the program in regards to the AirPods Max. And last but certainly not least, on the back end of the show, the Olympics, you got to laugh. The Paris Olympics in 2024, I got it listed at 2021. 2024, the Paris Olympics are going to debut a couple new things added in there. Sailing, skateboarding, sport climbing, and the most newsworthy and most controversial and talked about, breakdancing. My gosh, we've gone back to the 80s, but breakdancing will become an Olympic sport. At least it'll be in some sort of trial phase when it gets to Paris Olympics in 2024. Is this something that we're happy about? What's the feedback we're hearing on social media? We'll talk about that on the back end of the show as well. But first, my friend, we're headed to Night City, driving through all the bugs. It's Cyberpunk 2077. It arrives. Well, it has arrived already. Everybody there still might be a lot of people downloading it even as we speak, because there's a ton of things to download, including a patch. That's, my gosh, it's over 60 gigs, I think, on the patch. Whoa. I mean, it's really just a nightmare for a lot of people trying to get into it. Those of you that have an Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are having harder time because the bugs are even more prevalent. The reviews are all over the place because of the bugs. Some people praising it. IGN gave it a 9. I know other places have given it extremely high scores, and some others, because of the things that are giving it some less love at this point in time. So I want to hear your thoughts, man. This is something that you and I were excited about. One of the most anticipated games of the past 2-3 years. Something that was supposed to rival, at least maybe not GTA 5, but possibly rivaling its sister release that was done by the same studio, CD Projekt Red, in The Witcher 3. This was supposed to be a spiritual sequel, passing it off as far as the CD Projekt Red resume is concerned. So I want to hear your thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. Has it gone right, or has it gone oh so wrong?
It sounds like it depends on what console you're playing on, right? So I do want to say that, you know, the next gen consoles, the PS5s, the Xbox Series S and X, have really been they've been pushed as the preferred platform. You can tell, and this is something you and I have kind of talked about over the last couple of months. With, you know, why are you going to neglect the millions of PS4 owners that you already have that are going to be buying your game, and they're going to be, you know, continuing to play on a PS4 until that PS5 stock becomes a little bit more available. And by a little, I mean a lot more available. So it's one of those things for me, man. I feel like this is a really big miss. You know, they've been in trouble over the last 6 months because they keep delaying their launch date. And it really feels like maybe you could have delayed longer than a month, because I think that was our last delay, was a month or a month and a half. You really could have pushed it to right after the new year and maybe fix some of the issues that we're having on the Xbox One and the PS4.
Yeah, and it's just something that I think was a little bit disappointing that they didn't have all their ducks in a row, because the game had so much hype. It's one of the most hyped games of the last decade. And it has come out with a lot of people very angry about what's going on with all the bugs. Some people are able to get around it and navigate through it and really having a good time with it. But for me, something in this unfinished estate just said, you know what, you should have delayed it, instead of just delaying it from September to November and then November to December. Just go ahead and move it to next year. I think it just would have made people angry initially, but I think that type of anger would have tailed off and would have been replaced by a lot of people being more satisfied with a better overall product.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's something I talked about with a few guys at work today, and they were of the mindset that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because, people are going to be buying the new consoles. They're going to be moving towards the PS5 and the Xbox One. I think you end up damaging your brand identity a little bit here, especially for a franchise. You've got to be really careful about what you release, especially something new like this. It's going to have a little bit of a damage to their reputation, and I hope it doesn't drive gamers away. This is a game that's going to be fantastic once you get a chance to play it on a next gen console. The optimizations they've done to make all the visuals just beautiful. We hear it's supposed to be outstanding on an Xbox Series S or X or a PS5. So I'm really looking forward to getting there. But yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that there's a lot of damage that's been done to their reputation, as a franchise, as a studio. It's just, it kind of remains to be seen what happens with all the patches and updates we get moving forward.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. But I want to hear your thoughts out there on Cyberpunk 2077. I know a lot of people are playing it right now because a lot of people had it bought, had it purchased, had it already. Yeah, because CD Projekt Red, everybody was so satisfied with The Witcher 3.
You didn't think this was going to go this way at all.
Yeah. Nobody thought it was going to go this way. But we want to hear your thoughts. Is this something that you're still invested in, is going ahead and playing Cyberpunk 2077? Are you going through a lot of issues right now? Are you having a lot of problems with the bugs that are now so prevalent in the game as of this point in time? We know it's going to eventually be smoothed over, but as you know, as gamers, we are not very patient with a lot of games that are out there that have had a lot of bug issues that we've just said, okay, that's the way you have it. We're moving on. It's too late now, but we want to hear your thoughts out there on Cyberpunk 2077. Please share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, Spider-Man 3, it's filming in Atlanta, I believe, right now, and a lot of things are going on with it. I just want to make sure that your agent didn't call you to say you're supposed to head on down to, to go be part of it, because seemingly they've gotten everybody back from the Spider-Verse. I'm expecting Thomas Hayden Church as a Sandman to make an appearance again at this rate, because there's so many people from not only the Andrew Garfield era of Spider-Man movies, but also the previous original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. It's just so crazy how they're going ahead and getting all these people interconnected because of the multiverse aspect. And it was announced today by Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios. He did announce that the Spider-Verse was intertwined. So Sony and Marvel are intertwined as far as the Spider-Verse and the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. And of course, Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man 3. That's, of course, another thing. That was announced weeks ago. So you've got Dr. Octopus, Alfred Molina, reprising his role. Daredevil, Charlie Cox reprising his role. Andrew Garfield, most likely, I think, has signed already and is reprising his role. Tobey Maguire, I heard through Rumorville, is just hashing out some final details, but he's coming back. Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone as both the loves of Spider-Man's life in both series. They're both coming back. So you've got all this coming together in this Spider-Verse, multiverse, Spider-Man 3 type deal. Plus he's on the run. Oh my gosh, Spider-Man 3 is setting up to be an epic adventure indeed.
Yeah, it's really going to be awesome to see this come to fruition. I'm happy to see that, filming's underway. They're really getting moving on it. I got a phone call from my agent 3 months ago, and I thought he was joking about this, but we really should give Red Gold Green a call and make sure they're not going to be on the soundtrack. They're bringing everybody in for this movie. So no, it's for the Sinister Six, though, the group that Dr. Octopus and Electro are both members of. Bringing this multiverse into, this third movie and having Sony integrated, this is really going to open up the storylines for us, right? Like, we're going to be able to really delve into some deeper stories, some stuff from the comics. And I think it might be setting us up for a really, really, really big reboot of this franchise.
Absolutely. It's looking like it. Plus, with all the Marvel series, the Marvel movies that were talked about and announced or shown off in today's investor meeting by Disney, oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. And again, the Spider-Verse was announced as being integrated within that. So now you're talking about Morbius. Now you're talking about possibly a Kraven the Hunter. You're talking about Venom 2. You're talking about Sinister Six. You're talking about all these different things in the Spider-Verse now going ahead and becoming part of the intertwinement of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It just shows me that after some rough times, some hard patches there between Sony and also as well Marvel and Disney, that now they've finally come together on this and are going to work forward. And at least now I don't have to worry or look behind my back about Sony bailing out or Disney or Marvel bailing out. It looks like if you're going to go ahead and tell that to your investors in Disney, that you're going to go ahead and commit for the long term as well.
Yeah, it's really nice to see that they made that commitment at the investor meeting. You know, this is a solid deal at this point. This isn't gonna like you said, you don't need to look over your shoulder. There's no worry here. This is really and I don't want to beat the I don't want to just keep going down the road on this one, but I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a great movie, and I think this is going to be a great thing for the franchise moving forward.
I do as well, my friend. I'm looking forward to it, and I know a lot of other people as well, but oh man, when we go and talk about all the stuff relating to Marvel and Star Wars and
the integration's getting crazy, right? I mean, like it's almost impossible. It's not impossible. It's mind blowing to me to just think that 10 years ago, none of these franchises coexisted at all. And now we've got this beautiful marriage coming together, and all this content is going to be ready for the masses, in the next 2 or 3 years, 4 years. So,
well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all lays out for Spider-Man 3. Let us know your thoughts. Who else would you like to see involved in Spider-Man 3? Because you've already got Doctor Strange, Dr. Octopus, Daredevil, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Emma Stone. Who else should be in there? I love Thomas Hayden Church as an actor. I think he's an outstanding actor, always been underappreciated. I think he was pretty good as a Sandman, so I'd love to see him return. Who else would you love to see return? Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is coming back as well. So who would you love to see in Spider-Man 3? Me. Yeah, I'd love to be. I'll take that paycheck any time of the day,
I'll be an extra for a day for that one.
Yeah, you and I be extras. Let's watch you or having the conversations where we're talking about, we're talking about nothing, but actually really nothing. But it sounds like we're talking about something on screen. Yeah, that's right. I'd love to go ahead and just be an extra on that movie, just to see, absolutely. Just to hang out with all the stars and hang right next to the coffee machine with Andrew Garfield right there for you, or Benedict Cumberbatch. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, man? What's up? How you doing? All right. Did you see the games on Sunday? Yeah. Just talking around the water cooler with them. But anyways,
dream situation right there,
Dream situation indeed. But who do you want out there for Spider-Man 3? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still so much more to talk about. Even after we hit the half hour, we've got Jeff Dwoskin coming up as well. So I wanted to hit you up on this. Halo Infinite, my friend. Halo Infinite did get a confirmation as the developers, always on Twitter, man. It's always on social media, always on Twitter, stuff like that, that they announced that it is going to be a fall 2021 return date for Halo Infinite, that the delay, which was originally supposed to come out, day and date with the shipping of the Xbox Series S and X, unfortunately didn't materialize, and it got bumped back to 2021. So it is coming in and around the 20th anniversary of the original Halo that came out with the original Xbox, day and date. At least that one got it right. But I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. I am excited for it. They did showcase off their first multiplayer map that they wanted to go ahead and show off. Looks interesting. Obviously, multiplayer is a big part of the Halo experience. I'm hoping they'll go and, after some mild returns on their previous campaigns of their last 4, Halo 5, Guardians, and all that, didn't get quite over with the fans, I think, that they had hoped. So hopefully they will get a refresh on the campaign. I'm hoping they'll focus more on it. But what are you looking forward to when you hear the fact that there is now a confirmed, well, unless it gets delayed, now a confirmed date for Halo Infinite while I eat this McRib?
I'm really excited to see how much barbecue sauce you get all over your face while you eat that McRib.
I'm going to try, man. I'm going to try.
Do make me proud, but I got this one for the next few minutes. So I'm really excited about this, the release date for Halo Infinite, and it's one of those things we said. I think maybe right before we got on air, it's going to make it really hard to choose. I've been pushing for a PS5, but this announcement for some reason really got me hyped for that Xbox Series X as well. It's gonna be. It feels like I'm going back in time to being a kid again, man. Playing some Halo, some JLo as we used to call it, and just getting nuts with it. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward. This multiplayer map is going to be great, and from what I've heard, multiplayer is going to be 100% free. There's not going to be any.
It better be.
Yeah, no paid upgrades, no, nothing like that. Just classic Halo multiplayer. Let's do it.
Well, let's do it. I mean, because it took them a long time to finally get Halo, the Master Chief Collection, right. After so many issues with it over the course of years. If they had released it in the fashion that they finally have it released, in fact, they added, I think, one of the later Halo ODST, I think they just added to it. I've got to go ahead and get the update on that. But if they'd have released it in the state that it was now, when it originally came out, it would have just been, everybody would have been really into it. But it came out with bugs. It came out incomplete. Same old story with Cyberpunk. How many times have we heard this before in the past decade? But I'm very excited for Halo and Infinite. I know Josh was as well. I know he was very irritated at the fact that so many people were downing the graphics at the time it was shown off to the public, and I think he's very excited for it as well. I'm going to give it some slack. I think it looks pretty good. I'm very excited about where it can go for once in a long time. I have not been excited for Halo in a long time, and that's a shame because I lived and breathed Halo 2 for over 2 years straight, every single night on multiplayer. And Halo, the original Halo, I cannot say enough great things about the campaign and the exploration and all the fun that was, especially the ending is probably one of the best video game endings that's out there. So I'm hopeful that we will return to the greatness that is Halo. Even Halo 3 was a very good experience in and of itself, and that was an epic sales launch, as I remember, quite directly at the video game store. But I'm just hoping that Halo Infinite will find the fervor back into Halo. I mean, that's to me something that is going to be very important, is that this is a game from the past. This is a game now that for kids coming out that are streaming on YouTube and streaming on Twitch and streaming all over the place that are in their teens per se, they never really experienced Halo. They never really have wanted to go ahead and delve into Halo. Do you think Halo Infinite can recapture the magic of Halo once again?
Absolutely. Aren't you excited to go frag some noobs? I mean, I am. It's just lobbing grenades cross map, going after it, taking people down. I'm really excited for the multiplayer. I think I've really turned into a multiplayer, kind of rat, I guess is the best way to put it in my mind is,
multiplayer fiend you are.
Yeah, I am. I just love it. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I know their campaign is going to be great. Like we were talking about, the original Halo campaign, amazing. Halo 2, I really enjoyed. I played much more of the multiplayer than anything else. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. I'm really looking forward to this. And, just looking at some of the graphics packages, I have to side with Josh here, man. Like, I don't understand why people were really down in any of the screen caps that they saw from Halo Infinite. And it's looking at the update that they've just released for their arts and graphics package. I'm pretty excited about it, man. It came out 2 days ago. I'm looking through this, and I'm really enthused about it. This is going to be a great game. I can see where people might think, oh, it looks a little rudimentary, but I think we're paying homage to original Halo here. That's really what it is.
I think we are as well, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know a lot of other people are as well, including you and I. So I truly appreciate everyone out there trying to give it a chance. Give Halo Infinite a chance to go ahead and excel once again. I know a lot of people out there that are your and my age still have a great affinity for it, still have a great love for it, especially in your age group, because you were a kid 20 years ago when Halo first came out. So that really captured your attention. And for a lot of people around your age, it was the first video game blockbuster that they had played. I mean, even though the original Xbox didn't move like hotcakes, it was still for them a great experience to go over, hook up everybody's controller together, go through the experience of the co-op together, go through that experience of the campaign and seeing what around those dark corners and things of that nature that you saw in Halo, experience that for the first time. And I'm hoping for that magic again here with Halo Infinite.
I agree, man. It's it's your question prior to this was, will it recapture that, or will it capture that youth, the youth market here? I really think it will. Just the sheer energy that this game's going to carry in the marketplace really should drive people back to the Halo franchise. So
digging this McRib, man, digging this McRib.
Hey, but you're doing a great job here. You got a little barbecue sauce there.
I know, man. Yeah. I know. Gotta love it indeed. But I'll tell you what. Halo Infinite is most likely going to be dropping in and around the 20th anniversary of Halo Combat Evolved that's coming up in November of 2021. And I'm trying to say this with a straight face while I've got this barbecue sauce over my face. I hear your thoughts out there. Are you excited for Halo Infinite coming out 2021? And if you're not, we want to hear why. What will get you back into the Halo series, the Halo IP? Because there's also eventually a Halo Showtime series that'll be coming along the way. I think it's somewhere in development. At least that's what I keep hearing every now and then. So the world of Halo hopefully will become alive once again in late 2021. But we want to hear your thoughts. What will get you excited to get back into Halo with Halo Infinite? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, Marcus, while I go ahead and dry off everything right here as far as the barbecue sauce off my face, I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know on the back half of the hour is going to start up with a great interview with Jeff Dwoskin, stand-up comedian who turned to a life of podcasting for now because of everything that's gone on in 2020. He's going to share his thoughts on his show, The Jeff Dwoskin Show, what makes it so special, and why you should tune into it as well. He's going to share his thoughts after the break. And then after that, I'm going to ask Marcus what he would rather spend his $500 hard-earned dollars on. Be an AirPods Max? Would it be a PS5? Would it be an Xbox Series? We're going to find out from him coming up later on the program. And breakdancing. Are you ready to go ahead and spin around the ground in the Olympics coming up in 2024? So we'll talk about breakdancing coming to Paris Olympics in 2024 as well on the back half of the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. Also want to mention that we will be going ahead and giving everybody an update here before we go off the air on the Game Awards. So I'll be going ahead and running down the winners. So because it is ongoing as we speak. But I do want to give a thank you so much to Jeff Dwoskin from the Jeff Dwoskin Show appearing on today's program. Thank him so much for being a part of Indie Pods United. And also as well, I want to go ahead and thank Mark always for dropping in on today's show, and hope he'll be able to join Josh and I as we do a deep dive on Monday's episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos on the Disney's investors meeting. We have actually a link that will get you into the right place because they are going to archive it. So you will be able to see it. If you missed it, you will be able to see it. There are going to be links to it. We have actually some right now that are already up on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page. Some more up just to make sure everybody gets right to the right area. But please, we're going to go ahead, if you can, listen to us, because we're going to go ahead on Monday. Right there, it's going to drop for you with a detailed outlook and description, our thoughts, analysis, and opinions on the Disney investor meeting on Monday's Pop Culture Cosmos as well. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to ask you this. AirPods Max. Apple, seemingly because they're Apple, decided to go ahead and drop to the world that the AirPods Max, and no, they're not just little things that you can stick in your ears. These are full-on Beat style.
Over the ear.
Yeah, over the ear, like my Audio Technicas I'm wearing right now, like yours you're wearing right now, over the ear headphones that are going to be released on December 15th to the world at a nice tiny little price of $549. My goodness. Do they go ahead and clean your car out at the same time? I don't know. For $549 for over-the-ear headphones, I know these cost close to $300 that I'm wearing, but they provide an excellent mic. So that's one of the main reasons I think this is truly awesome. Has great sound, and it's lightweight and it's comfortable in my ears. I know that the AirPods Max is going to be something that's still purchased heavily. It's an Apple product. It could be like Apple cereal. It could be like Apple salt shaker, and it will still sell like hotcakes. So I want to hear your thoughts, Matt. I want to hear your thoughts, my friend. Your first thoughts on the AirPods Max itself, its high price, and would you want to go ahead and buy, if you have $500 only to spend it on that? Well, actually, need $50 more because it's $550, or the Xbox Series, the PlayStation 5.
So, honestly, just talking about it itself, I'm not that attracted to the design here. It's a little bit, it's very simplistic. It's beautiful, but it just looks like a pair of earmuffs. That's all it looks like. And, I'm not looking for anything super flashy, but I'm looking for something a little bit more than something I'm going to be wearing at the shooting range.
Does it have DTS built in, surround 7.1 surround sound? Those are questions I'm going to ask for something that expensive.
Well, it's got the Apple spatial audio. So, with the head tracking stuff, they've got a gyroscope in the left ear cup, and then they've got all the sensors that are in each of the ear cups, the position and the optical sensors and the case, blah, 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 all the sensors that you need to make their spatial audio work, where, as you're staring at your iPad, if you turn your head to the side, it's going to track with you, and it's going to shoot the sound at you just a little bit differently. It's also got active noise cancellation. It's got the transparency mode like the AirPod Pros do. I think this is a great driver, a great headphone, but I think it's overpriced. And let's just jump right into the price discussion here. At $549, I can buy a lot of other things for $549. I can buy those headphones you're wearing and have just as good of an experience for the most part. Not going to have the Apple spatial audio with the head tracking and everything, but the sound's going to be outstanding. How often are you not looking at your screen where you need that spatial audio to actually hit you the right way? Not very often.
Well, for me, again, the sound is great on these, but the microphone is killer. It's actually the best microphone I've ever had in the form of a headphone ever. And that's what it keeps me wearing this. People ask me, why haven't you gone to a setup like you have? And that's because this microphone on this headset is just killer, and there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could go back in time, I would definitely not buy this setup here. I'd definitely go with a headphone setup like you do. Your sound is outstanding. It sounds, absolutely podcast quality. Why would you do anything different? Especially when you can wear that to game with. You can wear it to do a podcast. You can do everything with it.
But $550, man. But $550, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't feel like I can do the same with AirPods Max, right? Like the sound quality coming out of the microphone, probably not going to match your headphones there. And so, just price point alone, man, if you look at the tech specs, yeah, it's cool. But I don't understand the price point on these. I think $435 might interest people a little bit more. I'm looking more at that 350 region there. That's about as much as I am willing to spend on a pair of headphones. If I was an audiophile to the extreme where I sat in front of my vinyl and listened via headphone, great. I think this might be okay. Actually, I wouldn't even be buying this. I'd be buying something that's hardwired, right? Let's just call it what it is. But it's this price point it's too high. And so, yes, to answer your question, I would rather spend that money on a PS5.
That's what you've been waiting for, my friend. You and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, spend that money on a PS5, buy a controller or a game, and go from there, man. It's really sad to see how expensive this is going to be. I put my foot in my mouth a couple of months ago when we were talking about our expected gifts for Christmas, and I said, the AirPod Pro 2 might be coming out at that point. What I didn't realize was not coming out until the following year, but Apple, switched up on me and introduced these AirPods Max. And while I love an over-the-ear design, I'm not paying $549 for this.
We want to hear your thoughts. Is $549 just out of reach or way out of reach for your budget, what you're spending on for a pair of AirPods Max? We want to hear it's popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, I wanted to give everybody out there, and you're watching on Facebook Live, an update on exactly all the winners right now from the Game Awards. So I want to go ahead and run them down real quickly. Esports team is G2 Esports. Esports hosts, FJ Scott's Deporte. Esports game is League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Esports events is the League of Legends World Championship 2020. That's a no-brainer. Esports coach is Danny Zonic Sorensen. Esports athlete is Hio Showmaker Sue. Content creator of the year should be Pop Culture Cosmos, but
It should
okay.
be, always.
It should be. Valkyrie, beating a lot of Pierce and some other notable names right there for you. Should be Pop Culture Cosmos. Multiplayer game is Among Us. That was kind of interesting. But not actually too surprising because it's been such a hit now, belated hit belated hit to say the least. So yeah. I'm not too surprised on that. Best sports racing game is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. That got a ton of praise when it first came out. So I want to say that's great. But again, to me, that's a lot like Final Fantasy VII, where it's something that was reborn again. I think it should be in its own category. I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Final Fantasy VII should have been in its own category with other great remakes. I think instead of being in its own category with other original games that came out this year. So I don't know. It just kind of quirks me the wrong way, so to speak.
Well, would you suggest... Well, I was going to say, would you suggest that we need a remake category for next year then?
Yeah, absolutely. That should have been done already. We've got so many remakes that come out. It should have been done already. Best sim strategy game is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's 15,000 disks that you need for booting it up on your computer. Best family game is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Absolutely no shocker to my youngest daughter, who is playing it probably right now as we speak. Best fighting game is Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, which I guess you could say that's the case because no real fighting game came out this year. This is just an extension of Mortal Kombat 11 that came out last year. So I guess by almost default, you could say that could be the winner right there. Best RPG is Final Fantasy Remake. Again, it's going up against games that were originally in 2020 that were released in 2020 as opposed to a remake. Oh my God, it's one of the greatest RPGs of all time. The other games just didn't have a chance. It's not fair because it's a remake. But again, I digress. Best action adventure game is The Last of Us Part 2. That Josh had said right there in the nutshell because of such critical acclaim. Best innovation and accessibility, The Last of Us Part 2. No word on best action game yet. Best VR game, no surprise here, Half-Life Alyx. Best community sport, no word on that yet. Best mobile game is Among Us. That is absolutely no surprise as well because that game has been so hot. Best debut indie game is Phasmophobia. I really heard about a lot of great things about that game, so I got to give that a try. Best indie game is Hades, something I knew was going to be the winner in that category because it's among the best of right now being considered. Best ongoing game is No Man's Sky, and they put a lot of money and attention to it, so it's much better now than what it was when it was first released, so not surprised about that. Best games for impact, tell me why. Best performance is Laura Bailey as Abby in The Last of Us Part 2. Best audio design is The Last of Us Part 2. Best score and music is Final Fantasy VII There, I guess you could go ahead and say that could be part of it. You know what? I don't know. That's just hard to say. I guess if you did a different new soundtrack for it, you could go. You should include it. Again, that's another argument for another day. Best art direction. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you remaster the audio and you actually put the hard work into it, I would let that one slide.
Best art direction is Ghost of Tsushima. Best narrative is Part 2, no surprise there for me. Best most anticipated game. This one was kind of a surprise. The Elden Ring from Software and Bandai Namco. I mean, those beating the God of War sequel, Resident Evil Village, Legend of Zelda sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, and Halo Infinite, beating that. Congrats to Elden Ring on that one. Best game direction is The Last of Us Part 2, and as of right now, we have not heard yet a winner for Game of the Year. So we're going to refresh until the very end, to see if anything is clear cut. Otherwise, we'll be reporting it and updating you on the Monday show at the end of Monday's show, the Pop Culture Cosmos as well. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and hit you up with this. You got your boombox ready on the side, my friend, because breakdancing is now a part of the Olympics, or it will be in Paris 2024. So I want to hear your thoughts. Sailing, skateboarding, sport climbing. I want to see, that's a gray area right there. And breakdancing will be a new addition to the games coming in 2024. So I want to hear your thoughts on those 4 sports coming to the Olympics in 2024.
Yeah, interesting about breakdancing. I will say all those people are athletes to the extreme, right? If you're spinning your body at a high rate of momentum, and then you're immediately going into a handstand, inverted handstand, or whatever it is, like a backward C handstand. I mean, great. You can stop your body on a dime. You can see how to dismiss all that momentum. I'm on board with this. They are athletes. I just don't understand how you're going to judge this category. Is this going to be like ribbon dancing for gymnastics? Is it going to be more on the athletic side? What are we looking at here for breakdancing?
And who are going to be the judges for this? All those stars from those breakdancing movies from the late 80s? I don't know. I mean, breakdancing was a fad for a short period of time. And that was it. It's still done. It's still part of our culture, but come on, man. How many people do you see actively breakdancing out there in the streets today? On social media, everybody does it now. There's so many people that do it now and then for social media. And I guess that's probably the reason why it's being brought up at this point in time.
Yeah, and I get it. It's a really popular sport. And I think internationally, not as much domestically anymore, like you were talking about. But I'm really excited to see how they do this. I think I'm more excited at the spectacle that it will be than the actual event itself.
Well, we'll find out what's going on more with it. I know there's been a lot of pushback on breakdancing primarily. You even said yourself, your friends at work are talking about it and cannot even believe. It's like one of those rub your eye type deals. Excuse me? Breakdancing?
Yep.
I mean, esports, people that argue that esports are not real athletes and esports shouldn't ever be part of the Olympics, that goes out of the window, because if you're going to allow breakdancing in there, you got to allow esports at some point down the line.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think esports will be coming. We kind of have to see the normalization of esports really continue domestically. It's happened internationally. You look at all the Asian countries, esports is a huge thing. You've got major arenas, 30,000 person arenas, and even larger than that. I know that. But I'm really looking forward to see how these things are adopted by the international culture, and really the American culture as well. The sport climbing thing, we were talking about this at work today. Those are 3 radically different disciplines of climbing. So the fact that you're going to have somebody in there doing all 3, you're really looking at an athlete versus somebody who's very disciplined in that area of discipline of climbing, right? And so it just doesn't make a lot of sense there. The sailing and the skateboarding, I guess I understand the sailing. The skateboarding, I really thought this was going to be around much sooner. With how much traction it had on the X Games for all the years, decades now. I'm really surprised skateboarding took this long.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, because like you said, the X Games was huge in the 90s for ESPN as far as a draw, and then also in the early 2000s. Tony Hawk, just think if he could have been in his prime, how much notoriety it would have given the Olympics had he been a part of it. I'm sure he'll be involved in some way in Paris in 2024 as maybe an MC, or maybe as a commentator, or maybe as a judge or something like that. He'll be involved, rest assured. But I think it would have been awesome if he would have been a competitor involved in it. But yes, skateboarding, I could see that possibly have been, or should have been, Olympic sport way sooner than this. Sailing is also something as well. The definition of sailing, and I know as far as what people are asking for, what is it, large catamarans or small little dinghies, or the size of the actual boats that are involved. We're not sure about that. But yeah, sailing is something I think as well should be part of the Olympics. Sport climbing, again, that's such a gray area. They're going to have to make that attractive for an audience. So we'll see how that breaks out, how that works out. But breakdancing is the one that I'm sure a lot of people are still going to have issues with, even when you see it in Paris in 2024.
Well, and then two that we didn't really didn't get discussed very much in the news the last couple of days was boxing is going to be losing some of their athletes or their athlete count. They won't be allowed to bring as many athletes, and the same thing with weightlifting. Weightlifting I think they're going to be cutting their count by half from what they had.
Is it just weight divisions? They're cutting weight divisions. Is that what they'll be doing?
No, I think they're actually literally cutting the amount of athletes that are going to be allowed to travel to the Olympic Village.
Okay.
Same thing with weight. Yeah, same thing with weightlifting. And weightlifting's been under some, I don't want to call it duress, but they've been under investigation for years now because of blood doping. So not a surprise to me. If you've got a sport that blood doping is that rampant in, just get rid of it and let's handle it. It's further down the line when we can make this a little more detectable.
And obviously with boxing, when it comes to head injuries, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a shock to see rugby in the Olympics, but I think it did really well. It's really popular in the international community, and the concussions just aren't there as prevalent as they are in football or any other
or soccer.
Or soccer.
There is some, but obviously because you use the head. But yeah, it's just not as prevalent as it is in, for let's say, football or something of that nature. Yeah.
Well, because they teach proper form tackling in rugby. So, I mean, it's one of those things and you're penalized for not proper form tackling. So, it makes it one of those things that it's a little bit of a safer sport.
Well, we'll find out what's going on in 2024 when breakdancing. Get ready. Come on, Marcus. You can do it. Get ready. Start training now. Get the boombox out because breakdancing is coming to the Paris Games along with sailing, skateboarding, and sport climbing to the Paris Games in 2024. What are your thoughts about breakdancing, sailing, skateboarding, and sport climbing, but most likely breakdancing being part of the Olympics in 2024? That's the one that's getting most of the discussion here. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, one last refresh before we head on out, but I don't think it's going to give us any answer. Oh, game direction. Oh, game of the year. We do have a winner. We do have a winner of the Game Awards for the top Game of the Year and Game Direction. The winner for the Game Direction and Game of the Year is one and the same. Naughty Dog is going to go happy again. Naughty Dog is going to go home happy again because Naughty Dog has been announced the best for game direction for Last of Us Part 2. And as Josh predicted, man, he should have put money on it. The Last of Us Part 2 is the winner and has been named Game of the Year. So I want to hear, as we head on out, your final thoughts on Last of Us Part 2 winning the Game Awards Game of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, it was clear that this was one of the best titles of the year. I was really surprised that anybody thought that they were not going to win a whole bunch of awards tonight. I'm really looking forward to see what kind of comes out. The studio for their next title. But at the end of the day, not a surprise here, not a surprise for Josh. And I think we should do a March Madness style bracket next year for some of these video games and some of these categories. Gerald, I mean,
maybe.
What can we do to get the listeners involved? I would love to do something. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about that coming up in the coming months. But we've also got at the end of this year, we've got the best games of the year we're going to be talking about as well from us at the Pop Culture Cosmos, along with the best TV shows, the best movies, so much more as we count down the best of 2020, a year that hasn't really been what we thought it would be, but there was still so much good that we found in it that we wanted to go ahead and share that on our shows, the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. Well, Marcus, I want to thank you again for being on today's show. Please, everyone, if you get a chance and you're into daily fantasy sports betting, please head on over to our new friends at thrivefantasy.com or Thrive Fantasy, wherever you get your apps, because you could be part of the awesome fun that's part of part of the awesome fun that's part of the awesome fun of daily fantasy betting each and every day that you can go ahead and be part of on Thrive Fantasy. When you make your first deposit, please use the code LFB, and they will match it up to $50 if you go ahead and make your first deposit of $20 or more with Thrive Fantasy at thrivefantasy.com or wherever you get your apps. Please also check if your state is included in as far as being able, please check to make sure your area can be available to go ahead and get Thrive Fantasy and play Thrive Fantasy. So check that out today for all the info at thrivefantasy.com. Well, Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough. But any last thoughts on the way out?
I'm really looking forward to resuming my breakdancing career so that maybe I can be at the Olympics in 2024.
Man, I'm still having a hard time just wiping off all the barbecue sauce from this McRib. But you know what? I will see if I can go ahead and do a couple spinneroonies myself as well.
Who?
So for Marcus de la Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great